Hello, hello, welcome back to my channel. Today is a Saturday, and Saturday is always a busy day for a single parent. But for me, what I would say is that I'm not like very busy today because my daughters are off and I'm with my son only. This weekend I'm a little bit like easy. So my son will be going to visit his friend. So I just wanted to talk about why Esther started looking for his dad. And sit, relax, take a cup of tea because this is what it's going to get more interesting here. And the reason why it's going to get more interesting is because you people, I don't want to ever judge someone outside there. Mm-mm. Don't ever judge. Don't ever judge. So, as I'm going to speak to you people, I'll be speaking to someone there, and I'll be speaking about the struggle one can go through and can make that person bitter and frustrated and all things around. I never felt I'm beautiful. People, they used to tell me I'm beautiful, but that time I never felt. Now I feel myself. I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling myself. So stay tuned. I'm going to tell you more, and you're gonna laugh. You're gonna just be so sad. For me, I laugh these days. Before I used to cry, I used to be sad. I used to ask myself so many questions. Sit, relax, and wait. 1 minute. So I'm back now. I gave you time to subscribe and put something to drink. So the reason why I went a little bit off is because I was thinking, will I sit here all this way talking without something to drink so that I can be able to speak out truth so that I can shame the devil. So 2 hours after my class 8 exams, KCPA, I went home. And I went home. Going back home, I told my mom that I want to go and see my dad. But back in my mind, I was saying, not again, not me again staying with my mom. The reason why is not like I hated my mom. She was very strict. She never listened to me. I had no any like permission to say, to give my it's called what? My ideas. I don't know what to say. In the end, it has gone quell. So my the reason why I started asking my dad, I feared because when we were in class 8, we used like prepare ourselves talking about high school life. So people, they used to say how people, they are usually bold. So myself, I said, since already my mind was like, since already I'm studying in Kisumu, definitely my high school will be all again in Kisumu for 4 years. I said, not me. So I insisted my mom. I went home and I told my mom after 3 to 4 days that I wanted to speak to my dad. And my mom was very like snobby, as in like she was very like not giving any attention. So I said, okay, no problem, mama. I know what I'm gonna do. I went to my grandfather. He's called Mzee Karanja, and I told him the story. And I told him, me, I'm thinking that I want to go and see my dad, and I think he spoke to my mom. And then my mom, I had my mom speaking to my auntie and telling my auntie that Esther will be coming there so that you can take her to her father's place. So who was I? Because my mom, she had a shop. Money wasn't a problem. We were like average people. So she just booked for me a ticket till Nairobi. I used to go alone, and then my auntie used to pick me in the bus stop in the morning. So at class 8, you can just imagine, if I've been traveling every time to Kisumu alone, I was able to travel to Nairobi also. So that's the reason why I tell you that I told you that I matured very early. So at class 8, I started like traveling all the way, like more than 8 hours alone by the bus. And then I come down, and then I, Voi, those old stuff I used to do by myself. So I went to Nairobi, Kawangware, where my aunt used to live. She used to live by the market. She used to sell me tumba. If anyone knows her, she's called Mary Wanjera Njoroge. Very clean heart, positive minded, loving. I don't know which name I cannot give that my auntie. Up to now, we very like good friends. And when even if I'm down, I call her. She's my mom, literally, because my mom died back 2003. So my aunt, when I reached, and she told me, okay, now you have to relax. I thought that I'm gonna reach in Nairobi, and then when I just arrived, and then she's gonna take me there. She told me, no, we cannot go now. It's going to be late. We're gonna wake up tomorrow. So I just became patient, but I was like impatient inside me and said, oh my God, I wish I can just go and just see my dad. Little did I know that she knew that if she was going another time, like not in the morning, maybe they will have already woken up and they have gone to their duties of work. So my auntie told me, no, you know what, we're gonna go there at 6 in the morning. So since from Kawangware to Kikuyu is far away, my grandmother's place, she decided to take me to my grandmother's place, where my grandmother used to live is Gitaru Kwamago. Yeah. And it's a very sloppy place. So we went in the morning. We woke up at 6 because we woke up at 5 because by 6 she was wondering if maybe people, they changed and they have their errands to do. So she was like, okay, now we have to go that time so that we can just have them get them before they have left the house. So we went with my mom, she's my mom. I call her my mom. She's called Mary Wanjera. We went and we reached there. Reaching there, we never, like, the gates were closed because ni geti kali. The brother to my dad, he's rich, so the gate by that time was closed. Then the gates were closed. Now I don't know if they're closing. They are closing their gates, and they had big dogs. The dogs, the ones that they are for security dogs, the bigger dogs. So I sit for that. So because my grandfather had 2 wives, we went through the other gate because the other grandmother was very simple. Into the other grandmother. My grandmother, we went there, and my grandmother said, okay, come, I can take you. And then my grandmother was, hey, at what time have you really come early? The other grandmother, she's called Modoni, because my grandfather had 2 wives, so the other one called Modoni and Wanjiru. So when I reached there, my grandmother told, hey, here in the morning there are dogs. Even you're very lucky that even you didn't find them outside. And we said, oh, okay, we were lucky. Yeah, and they're very, they even bite people. It's very risky, Yeah, even sometimes we always want them not to be around because it's very risky for people who comes at night. But that time, the area had a lot of thugs. That's the reason why, to our understanding, that's the reason why they were having these big security dogs. It's called German Shepherd. Yeah, those dogs, they were like 6 big ones, not the small ones, big ones, the one they have eaten properly, that they can tear you and your skin can be just be hanging, like, so just imagine. So I sip for that. So my grandmother took us there, And she's the one who was calling Wabake. She went and called the other wife. Wabake, as in Wambake, you have your your visitors are here. My grandmother was still like, I don't know where she was. I think she was inside looking for matchbox to light the fire because already she has already woken up. And then she was Ageniareko, which visitors? And then my other grandmother said, Okawe onere, because she was very excited to see me also, the other grandmother, because she knew my mom. Come and see for yourself. My grandmother came out. And she was like looking, and my grandmother was pretty, my grandmother was pretty. You can just imagine me, the way I look like. Just look at me, my grandmother. The genes. She was those pretty women, pretty. She was all but pretty, pretty women. The way I can say is pretty. If you can see a pretty grandmother, you can just imagine how pretty she was when she was young. That's how my grandmother used to be. And then she was like, she doesn't have the teeth. It's the fake ones. And then she was like, just a little bit for me to put on my teeth. I was patient, and she came like hugging us, and then she was like, my auntie started saying hi and introduction, and then she introduced me and said, yeah. My grandmother said, I know who she is. Even before you said who she is, I know who she is. And she started like holding her head, her turban. She used, the old grandmother, they used turban in Africa. She was asking us so many questions. Where were you all this time? We've been like asking about you. Like, it's very good that you're here. But I could see my grandmother, like, she was like a little bit worried, but I never knew what's wrong. So I just stayed, and then she said, okay. But my auntie was very clever. She said, hey, you, I have so many stuff to do for today. I'm gonna leave Esther here for a week, and then she's gonna meet you people, know you, and meet the father. So my auntie pretended that she was in a hurry, but I knew she was not doing nothing at home. She left me there. That's how it was. So the story began that when we were seated with the grandmother, she was cooking. She was a sweet grandmother. Because, in Africa, in the village, you people, to be honest, grandmothers, they don't buy bread. Most of them, they eat with maybe the remaining ugali, fufu, and then with tea. Because because it's fresh milk from the cow, it's thick. So they drink they drink good tea with the ugali. So my grandmother, she said, and let me send for you bread, my child. She sent bread. There was a shop outside there, kwa monene. I can't forget anything. Things that you've been done, of you've been through, it's very hard to erase them. Let me tell you, people, it's not easy. But people, they always tend to like do you stuff, and then they just tend like, oh, it's gonna be okay. No, and sometimes it affects people forever, like for me. So the bread was brought, and we took tea. And now, as we were taking tea, my cousin came called David. May his soul rest in peace. My cousin called David, a very handsome cousin of mine. He used to he was a bodybuilder, and you can see me. Me, if you see me, you can just know my relative. If you see my relative, there's something that, these people, they look alike. That's how it is. Me, if our family is like, we have a signature, as in when you see me, this one is this family. There's no way of pretending. Although I have some looks for my mom, but if you see my family, my mom's family, you will know what I'm talking about. My dad's family, you know what I'm talking about. And if you see my mom's family, you know what I'm talking about. Yes. So I saw my cousin come in, and my cousin was like, she sat there, and my grandmother was like, she came and she was like screaming to my grandmother. He was a noisy guy, very like a cheeky and very loving person, David. And then he was like, hey, motumia wakwa, hi, my wife, because he's called David. David is like he was named after my grandfather. and my grandfather is dead. So in our culture, firstborn and secondborn, they are named after the father's side's mother and father. So my cousin was a boy and was a man who was named after my grandfather, David. So the V came and was like,